In this video, you're gonna learn exactly how to take responsibility over your life. So why exactly is this important? Well, in life, you're gonna run into a lot of conflict, or you're gonna have plans and things may not go your way. And subconsciously, it might be very easy to blame other people, blame external factors to why you didn't achieve what you want to achieve. But the problem with that is that when you're blaming other people, you're not taking responsibility over the situation. And when you're not taking responsibility, you actually stunt your growth to actually just become a better person. So what we're gonna do in this video is we're gonna switch it up, and I'm gonna show you how to start taking responsibility over your life so you can start living to your full potential. What's going on, everybody? It's Patrick Dang here. So before we get started, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you want to see more videos like this, and let's go ahead and get started. So in order to take responsibility over one's life, the first thing you got to realize is you do not want to blame others, even if it's not your fault. Okay, so naturally, what most people do in general is like when things don't go their way, they're always gonna blame somebody. They're gonna blame their parents, where they grew up, or maybe they're not doing that great on their job and they're gonna blame their manager, right? It's very easy to blame another person and say they are responsible for why you are not successful. But the problem when you're blaming others is that it actually prevents you from becoming better and growing. And to explain that, I'll tell you a little story. So the other day, I was making a custom jewelry piece, nothing crazy, for a friend, right? And so I designed all these things and I had a great concept. I got a lot of reference material from other companies and I redesigned it, put it together, and I took it to this custom jewelry shop, right? Hoping that they can make my vision come to life. And I found this shop from Google Maps, and a lot of people left reviews, and for the most part, it was positive. So I was like, okay, they should be able to do what I want them to do because it's quite simple. So I go into the shop and I say, hey, this is what I want to do. This is exactly how I want it to look. Here are some examples. And this is the shape, blah, blah, blah. And they say, okay, yeah, we'll do this for you, but you got to pay a deposit 70%. And I'm like, all right, sure, whatever. Pay the deposit, wait a couple days, and they're like, oh, okay, Patrick, a couple days pass, we finish your piece, come to the shop. So I go to the shop and I pick up the piece, right? It's basically like a little gold necklace. And I'm looking at the piece and I'm like, dude, this does not look like any of the pictures that I sent you and the drawings and the reference. The color's off, the shape is not even straight, it's all crooked. The way the gold dried was not even, so it just looked messy and cheap. And I was like, dude, this is just so bad. I don't even know how this even happened. So the owner's not at the shop, just one of her employees. And we called the owner. I'm like, hey, look, if you look at the examples I showed you, what you're giving me doesn't really match what I gave you to design. And basically what happened was this person got very defensive, and basically they blamed me, and they said something like, and I was actually quite shocked that a business owner would do that, right? Very unprofessional. So they were like, oh, you didn't give us the right designs or the right dimensions. How am I supposed to know that, you wanted this color of gold? And it's just like a lot of blame towards me, right? The customer, which is very strange because I actually did give all the designs and I gave them how I should look and I gave them references. So it's like what they're saying is not even true, and they're blaming me for it, right? And even this person got angry at me. It was yelling on the phone. I was like, whoa, 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 hold on. I don't know why you're yelling. That's what I said. I was like, well, I don't know why you're yelling. Calm down. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. So, very unprofessional place to do business, right? And this is what you don't want to do, right? And this is quite an extreme example, or maybe it's not that extreme, I don't know, but this is what you definitely don't want to do. You don't want to blame the other person, especially if you have the opportunity to make it right. Instead, you should listen to what the other person is saying, understand where that friction or that conflict is coming from, empathize with their situation so that together you can come up with a solution to make it right. But if you, right off the bat, just blame someone without even listening to what they have to say, well, you're not gonna get very far in life because, that's the attitude of blaming other people when you should take responsibility yourself. Which actually brings us to the next section, which is whoever takes responsibility over a situation is actually the person in control. So if you're constantly blaming people like this jewelry maker was blaming me, well, they're actually giving all the control to me. Now it's my responsibility. And like they say in Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. So, going back to the story of the jewelry shop, basically I was like, okay, well, this person is quite unreasonable. They're not very professional. They have 70% of my deposit, and I actually would rather just not work with them and try to get as much of my deposit back, right? Because they can just say, I don't want to give it to you, and that would suck for me. So I'm like, all right, how about this? So they say, okay, they offer to take responsibility and remake it into what's right, but I don't want to do that because they're so unprofessional. Or they can do some kind of refund, and basically I keep pushing for the refund. And then when I push for the refund, the person says, oh no, you can't do a refund because the labor cost. And then I'm like, okay, I'll pay for all the labor costs and you give me what's left over. And they say, oh no, we wasted some gold when we had to make the piece. I say, okay, I'll pay for the wasted gold, what else? Say, oh no, we have to buy your gold piece back and melt it. And I'll say, okay, I'll pay for that too, right? So basically I'm taking full responsibility over the situation. I'm covering the cost of the other person because I want to take control of the situation and get some of my money back. So I already know I'm not gonna get all of it back, so I might as well take responsibility and get back what I can. So even though this person keeps saying things like, oh, you can't do this, can't do that, I'll say, no, I think we can because I'll pay for it, right? So in a way, they cover their costs and it doesn't cost them anything. So it's all about perspective, right? So from my perspective, I initially thought like, this jeweler messed it up. I gave them great examples, but they didn't do a good job, right? But then instead of blaming the person who did the work, I put it on myself and I'm taking responsibility, and I'm at the same time taking control. And I'm saying, okay, well, this person didn't do a good job, but it's actually my fault for going to this place in the first place. I should have vetted them first. Maybe I should have looked at different shops and put in the extra time to make sure that I'm working with a professional, not someone who, yells at their customers, right? So it's actually my responsibility because I didn't do the due diligence to pick the right person to work with, okay? Instead of blaming the other person, I'm now taking responsibility. And some people might say, oh, Patrick, but it's not your fault at all. That may be true from a certain perspective, but I'm gonna make it my fault and I'm gonna make it my responsibility to make it right. Because when you give the responsibility on someone else, you're also giving them power and they get to decide your fate, right? But when you take responsibility, you control your own destiny and you get to control the situation how you want. If you have a vision to make it right and you put in the work, well, then you can make the situation much better. And this is gonna apply to whether you are making a custom jewelry piece or if you are doing sales or if you're in a conflict with your significant other. It's all the same thing, right? Instead of blaming the other person, like let's say you're selling something and the customer, says they're interested and this and that, and at the end they don't buy. It's very easy for salespeople to be like, oh my God, this guy wasted my time and this and that. And if he wasn't interested, he should have just said that he wasn't. I don't know why we had to go through the demo and all that. But let's say if you're a salesperson, instead of blaming the customer for not buying, maybe you should actually look at yourself and say, maybe you didn't qualify the customer enough before you got to the demo phase, and actually because you didn't qualify them, you were wasting your time by taking them through that sales cycle when they shouldn't even be going through that sales cycle, right? So when you take responsibility, what happens is you start figuring out how to improve the situation for next time, and then you get better and better and better. So in the event of sales, right, because I am a sales trainer, if I see my students blaming the customer all the time, I know they're not gonna get very far in sales because they're always pushing the responsibility on the customer. But what they need to do is put the responsibility on themselves and start thinking, okay, this person didn't buy, what can I do to make the situation better for the next person? And that's how you actually improve. So if you always have the habit of blaming other people, well, it's gonna be very difficult for you to become a better person and become better at the skill you wanna get better at. And that leads us to our final point, which is when you take responsibility over situations, that is actually the path towards growth. And I know this is kind of like taking the high road. It's kind of, doing the things and going out your way to make things right. But this is the path towards growth, right? You don't want to be that person that always blames other people for all your problems, right? You know those kind of people. They always seem like they're unhappy, always feel like the world is against them. But instead, you want to reverse it. Be grateful for what you got. And if things aren't really going your way or how you envision them, well, put in the work, take the responsibility, and execute on your strategy to actually do the thing that you want to do. Don't put it on somebody else. Don't give another person the responsibility, hoping that they're gonna do your job. You gotta do your job yourself if you want to grow as a person. So let's say in the event of the jewelry shop that I went to, and basically I took responsibility and they basically blamed me, right? Even though I told them exactly what the problem was, they still blame me. So I kind of see from their perspective that even though I told them like the gold doesn't look right, the color looks weird, it's crooked, the gold didn't dry right, they're basically just denying it. And what's gonna happen in their business is that if they do that again for another customer, that person's not gonna be satisfied, and they do it for the next person, that person's not gonna be satisfied. So they don't get that positive word of mouth, and people will never recommend their friends to go to the shop. And if their quality of the product is so low and they're not willing to admit that they can improve, well, they're gonna be stuck at the same level forever, or eventually a lot of people are gonna catch on and then their business is gonna die because they're not creating a great experience for their customers and they're not creating a good product. So without that customer service and without that product, how can a business like that survive? And so you can kind of see just from the mentality of how the owner runs the business, it's gonna be very difficult for that business to continue to expand and grow and generate more revenue because they're not listening to their customers and they're not creating quality products. So, you know, I actually look at all that as a learning lesson, right? And it's not like I'm trying to throw shade at them. You know, I really try to share my opinion to help them improve as a business, but I've realized that not everybody is willing to take that kind of criticism, and not everyone really has the mindset of wanting to grow and become a better person. So I just want to share that story with you guys so that when you guys are living your life and you guys maybe are doing sales or you run your own business, you know, things are not gonna always go your way, especially if you're doing any type of selling. Most of the time you face rejection, people say no, they don't wanna buy, they say they wanna buy, and then actually they don't buy at the end. You know, all these things that always happen. Instead of blaming other people, look at yourself for the answer, figure out what you can do better and constantly improve. And that alone, just that lesson alone will take you extremely far, right? While everyone's doing the same thing over and over, blaming others, you're gonna be accepting responsibility and basically you're bossing it out, man. You're basically taking control of your life. So if you made it to the end of this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and let me know in the comments if you guys enjoy these type of videos where it's not specifically about sales, but more about, you know, how to become a better person in a sense. So if you guys enjoyed those kind of videos, make sure to let me know in the comments so I can make more for everybody. So that is going to be it for this video. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one.